the controversy surrounding the United States Grand Prix in Austin has deepened, with one team now attempting to challenge the results of half the grid. Numerous drivers were observed cutting corners at the Circuit of the Americas, raising the possibility of severe penalties for their actions. But is this merely a desperate maneuver by one team to salvage their season? Could we witness a complete revision of the US Grand Prix results? A certain team is deeply dissatisfied with the outcome of the race, but what are their motivations? All these questions and more will be addressed in today's video, so stay tuned. The United States Grand Prix at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas, was already mired in controversy. Post-race scrutiny revealed that the Mercedes cars of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc had violated technical regulations, leading to their disqualification. The FIA detected anomalies in the sensors installed in all the grid's cars, some of which had been making excessive contact with the track surface. Consequently, a random selection of cars, including those of Max Verstappen, Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton, and Charles Leclerc, underwent plank wear testing. The Ferrari and Mercedes vehicles were found to have exceeded legal plank wear limits, and were subsequently disqualified on the Sunday evening following the race. That should have concluded the matter, but nearly 2 weeks after the checkered flag fell in Austin, Haas initiated legal action and appealed to the FIA. Their appeal centers on the contentious issue of track limits, which has been a major topic of discussion throughout the season, with drivers pushing the boundaries of where the track officially starts and ends. After the Qatar Grand Prix, FIA President Mohammed Ben Salem emphasized the need for venues like La Salle and Austria's Red Bull Ring to address issues of drivers exceeding track limits. However, the spotlight has now shifted to the FIA and race control in the wake of the US Grand Prix. Sergio Perez was vocal on team radio regarding track limits, accusing Mercedes' George Russell of frequently going off track during their early battle. Yet, upon reviewing the footage, it became evident that Perez himself had been fortunate to receive only one track limit violation in Austin. Turn 6 was one of the corners where track limits were supposed to be monitored, but the CCTV camera station there was not correctly positioned, allowing many drivers to cut the corner without being penalized. An investigation into Williams' Alex Albon, who was suspected of potential infringements at Turn 6, concluded with his clearance, as the CCTV footage was unavailable to the stewards due to misplacement. A total of 35 track limit violations were recorded during the race, but none were linked to Turn 6. Among these, only Alexander Albon faced sanctions, having exceeded the limits 4 times and receiving a 5-second penalty for his repeated infractions. According to an official FIA statement, it was determined during the post-race analysis that multiple drivers may have exceeded the track limits on the inside of Turn 6. This conclusion aligned with the stewards' decisions as outlined in Document 59, which pertained to an alleged rule violation on the inside of the corner. Document 59 stated that the available evidence is needed to consistently and accurately establish these infractions. The FIA has acknowledged the need for an upgrade to the monitoring infrastructure to ensure more comprehensive coverage, enabling the reliable detection of potential infringements during future races. This statement implies that the FIA was aware of track limit violations but did not intend to take action during the current year. For the Haas team, this information had personal significance. In Austin, they finished 11th and 14th after the disqualifications, placing them on the brink of earning points. Given the intense competition at the lower end of the grid, any gains Haas could secure at this stage of the season might determine their position in the Constructors' Championship, which translates to millions of dollars in prize money. As the race progressed and drivers realized they weren't facing penalties for breaching track limits, they continued to exploit this leniency. Reports from the Alpine garage indicated that they became aware during the race that something was amiss with Turn 6. An employee monitoring the race from Pierre Gasly's cockpit camera noticed that Sergio Perez, who was ahead of Gasly, regularly cut the corner short and crossed the white line. They observed Perez doing this a total of 21 times, although he was not the only driver doing so. At the managers' meeting in Mexico the following weekend, race director Nils Wittich faced inquiries about why drivers weren't penalized for cutting Turn 6 in Austin. Many team managers found the explanation that the cameras were in the wrong position unsatisfactory. However, it was Haas who chose to challenge the race's outcome. The Haas team obtained onboard camera footage from all drivers and carefully analyzed both Albon's footage and that of the drivers following him. In a comprehensive 28-page dossier, Haas's legal team argued that Albon should have received an additional 15 5-second penalties for his infractions, in addition to the penalty he had already served. Their scrutiny didn't end there. Using the same evidence, Sargent was shown to have crossed the white line at Turn 6 3 times. His sole F1 point was earned in that race. since he had already been flagged for 3 officially registered offences. 3 additional 5-second penalties would have been added to his total. Sergio Perez would have faced 18 penalties of 5 seconds each, and Lance Stroll would have received 16 such penalties. Haas is seizing the opportunity to reopen the case, having formally requested a review on November 3rd. The FIA grants teams a 14-day window after the race's conclusion to invoke their right to a review. This provision is contingent upon the presentation of new evidence, as the FIA initially lacked access to onboard cameras during the race. However, these cameras are now readily accessible, suggesting that new evidence may have come to light. FIA legal experts will assess the case's admissibility in the coming days, without a specific deadline for their response. There is precedent for new footage, akin to what Haas is presenting, altering the post-race outcome. In the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton received a penalty when 360-degree camera footage from his car revealed he had not responded appropriately to a yellow flag. If any penalties are imposed, it could significantly benefit Nico Hülkenberg and the Haas team. Hülkenberg might advance 4 positions, elevating him from 11th to 7th. George Russell, Pierre Gasly, Yuki Tsunoda, and Valtteri Bottas would also gain from substantial penalties applied to the cars ahead of them. For Haas, a revision of the race results would translate to 6 crucial points in the Constructors' Championship. The revised order for point allocation would position Russell in 4th, Gasly in 5th, Tsunoda in 6th, Hülkenberg in 7th, Bottas in 8th, Sargent in 9th, and Perez in 10th. However, it's important to note that overturning a race result necessitates a substantial burden of evidence, and the onboard footage, while valuable, may not be conclusive on its own. Haas could also reference Lando Norris's admission in his pre-Mexican Grand Prix media session, where he acknowledged exceeding track limits because they were not consistently enforced. When asked about Turn 6 track limits, Norris stated, "I did it as well, to be honest. I knew it was a corner where they couldn't penalize me because they had set a precedent in previous tracks that if you can't visually see it, you're going to get away with it. You have to know the grey areas and what you can get away with," which was one of them. Regardless of whether Haas cites Norris's statement, their appeal has garnered attention. Red Bull, Aston Martin, and Williams have all been summoned to discuss Haas's appeal with the stewards on November 8th. The outcome remains uncertain until the stewards' meeting. Still, the fact that any teams have been called in suggests that the FIA believes there is enough evidence to warrant a thorough investigation. Do you believe Haas will obtain the much-needed points they seek, and should the FIA permit a race result to be overturned in this manner? I'm eager to hear your thoughts and perspectives. Please share them in the comments section below. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel for notifications on our future uploads, ensuring you stay informed about the developments in the 2023 Formula One season.